Items needed to change a Kirby fan impeller. For this video, we will be using a Generation 4. Generation 4 vacuums use a Phillips head screwdriver, or screws I should say, and the newer machines use star or hex head. You'll also need something like this, a nail or anything that you can stick into the fan shaft hole to rotate the fan, a wrench to place on the armature to hold it in place to keep the motor from rotating so that you can unscrew the fan, a flathead screwdriver, and some sealant to reseal the fan case once you have replaced the fan, and of course a new fan. Once you've removed your Kirby bag and carpet head, you want to remove this screw that's down here that holds this cover on, and then take it's usually kind of tough to get on and off, but you usually wiggle it and get it off. This is what covers your Kirby cord, and go ahead and unplug your Kirby cord. Then you take this screw loose here and unhook your Kirby handle and lay it to the side. So now we take the screw out, move this, so I can do this with one hand, and take your Kirby handle off. Now we remove this screw here, that's just above the transmission pedal. We'll put that in a bowl. Now we take a flathead screwdriver and we place it into this slot here, and we on it. Pop this cover loose. There's two little tabs up here on top. Just pull it back and forth, and it should come right off. And there are our next two set of screws. We need to unfasten. Out of here. Now we have two screws on the front we have to take out. Here are the two screws on the front. I went ahead and loosened them, so watch me unscrewing them. Once those are out, you just lay your cover down and you should be able to grab right onto this, and your Kirby cover will come right off. The next step is to remove these screws from the Kirby. Once you've removed those screws, you begin to take a flathead screwdriver and begin to pry on the fan case. Usually there's a spot right here next to the outlet where you can usually get a screwdriver and you begin prying. And depending on if it's got sealant or not on the fan case, most of them do, but it might take a little force, and you should begin to pop off. And there you can see is Kirby impeller fan exposed. The next step is to use a wrench to be placed on the armature to hold the motor from turning. Usually you're supposed to use 11/32 wrench. Mine has gone MIA, and all I've got right now is a 3/8. This will work. If you can stick this down through here and get it onto the shaft, just like that. But for this video, I'm going to show you how to take off this pivot spring assembly so that you can better see what I'm talking about. One of the simplest ways to get to your Kirby armature is to remove these two screws on the handle spring assembly. Here I'm using a ratchet screwdriver because I like to put these on here with quite a bit of torque so they don't come loose. So once you got these screws loose, you put them out. And this little unit, pick right up, just like that. Put that off to the side. And this is also how you can take this apart to get into this spring assembly to service it. Just to get the stick. There's this plate in here that slides back and forth. And a pair of bushings, and occasionally that wears out. And to service that, you take these out. And this will come apart, and then you can either replace these and put new bushings in there. Okay, let's see if the camera will focus down in there. There should be a little, if you can see that, there's a little flat spot in there. That's what that wrench goes onto. Now when I reach up here and turn the fan, turns the wrench too. So now the Kirby armature is locked and cannot move. So that when you place this in here, the fan cannot move. Now our next step is to begin disassembly of the fan case. There's two ways you can get into there. One is to remove this spring assembly, pivot assembly. Sometimes I do that, or if you want to, it's a little harder if you have these wires here. To remove these two bolts that are screws, I should say, that are on each side of the machine. And when you do that, this will lift up. I will do that here. Now with a little bit of finesse, you can kind of pull this up, pick this up gently. You want to be careful not to pull these wires. Normally you can take this off, but sometimes I like to do this. It saves from messing with this, because sometimes it can be a booger to get it to sit back. But once you get it off, you can actually just lay this over. And just lay it on its side just like that. And now you have access to the flat spot on the armature. I don't know how well you can see this, but right here, there's a flat spot on the armature where you can stick a wrench. That blocks it from turning. There's this hole on all Kirby fan shafts. This is where you either stick a screwdriver or something you can use a nail or something that will give you leverage. I don't know what you call this thing. Got it from a screwdriver kit. That works great. It's just a pointed, it sticks right in there. So once you have that placed in, you place your wrench so that it locks onto your armature. Now, once you have these, something like this, you have that lock, you'll hold on to with one hand on this, and you turn this clockwise. Kirby fans are always left threaded to the left, so they're the reverse of a normal screw. So let's go ahead and give this a little turn, and like that, it comes loose. A little spin. The melon of this pan, it's off. There's your armature shaft. Now if you're wanting to disassemble this Kirby farther to say like change carbon brushes or bearings, you go ahead and you remove these screws, and then there's screws underneath here that you can remove. You can see this. You remove these here and this as well. But you don't want to remove this one. This holds this pedal in place. What's that? That'll allow your transmission to come out and your whole system assembly. I may later do a complete disassembly of this machine video, but right now we'll focus back on putting this fan back together. Basically, once you got to this point, you just follow the steps in reverse. Now I'll go ahead and put the fan back on.